Hey everyone, welcome to the KE Report and a company update from Graphene Manufacturing Group, chatting again with the founder and CEO Craig Nickel. We're going to be answering some of your questions on mostly the take to market strategy and which market the company is taking either of their three graphene specific products to, as well as updates on the EPA patents and also on revenues. Thank you everybody for sending in your questions. We'll also recap the news over the last month or so. The company is traded on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol GMG and the OTCQX under the symbol GMGMF. Now, Craig, let's start off with a quick news review. I want to start with the September 15th news. You announced essentially a patent approval in Australia for the Thermal XR. We talk a lot about what's happening in the US and when the EPA is going to give you your patent approval, but now that it's starting with Australia, give us some insights on if this will just open up other markets and what it means for getting the Thermal XR in Australia, please.
Yeah, thanks, Corey. Great to be back on. It's a really good step to get a patent up on such a broad opportunity, such as graphene coatings for improving corrosion and heat transfer on heat exchangers. So, for air conditioning and others. So, what the patent means is that, we have a 20-year effective monopoly in this, but with regard to the coating we use and the process we use and how it gets used. And that is a big thing. We've had to explain to the world how we do it in order to get that monopoly, and that's basically how patents work. But generally, for that to happen, though, it has to be globally leading, and there has to be no other work in the world where that is seen to be similar or already been done before. So for Australia to give us the patent, what that means is it's already seen as patentable around the world, and therefore it's expected that we should get this patent also flow through in America and Europe and other countries, which is a massive thing to get such a wide use opportunity. Graphene coating, heat transfer for improving heat exchangers. To get that up, it's a really big milestone. So we're very happy with it. And we'll hopefully see the other patents get approved around the country, around the world, in other countries in line with this over the next year.
So, Craig, because this is now approved in Australia, and I don't need to get into the nitty-gritty of what this patent is all about, what does it mean for protecting you against other companies that could develop another graphene type of coating for a similar problem? Just how protectable is this patent?
Yeah, so there's an element of how we make it, the coating, and there's an element of we make the graphene through a carbon-containing gas, and there's an element of how it's sprayed and used on to heat transfer better with heat exchange. So that's the element of the claims, and the claims are substantial in that space. You could go and use graphene for corrosion coating, not made this way, and also not for heat exchangers, and that would certainly not be within this patent. So it protects what we wanted to protect, which is our ability to scale a graphene coating to improve heat transfer, to reduce temperature of heat exchangers with our coating. And outside of that, there are, of course, many other ways to use graphene coatings, and I think we'll find graphene coatings to be one of the number one ways of graphene getting to market, because coatings are very good at distributing and getting the benefits of graphene out to various different applications. So it is really just around heat exchange, coating, heat transfer, which is exactly what we wanted. And then really the other areas of market around corrosion coating or specifically, protection coating, or maybe conductive coating, it does not include those.
So are you applying for other patents, or is this now ready to take to market, at least in Australia, hopefully increase sales in the TXR division?
Yeah, I think this is probably about 4 to 5 years worth of work to get here. That's generally how long it takes to get a patent. So that's because you've really got to know your stuff before you even make the application, and then it's got to go through years of review with the patent office. And so, no, we won't necessarily be focusing on other coatings type things. This is what we want. This is the application we wanted to get patented with the product and process. So we're very happy about that. The other patents we got going through for G lubricant, which is in the process of being reviewed by the Patent Office right now. Obviously, our battery patent, which has already been approved for aluminium ion battery, and that we'll push those through. Obviously, that battery patent is obviously owned by UQ, but we're fully licensed. But we've been a big part of progressing it through the Patent Office. So, we're happy with where we've got our patents. They form what we call a downstream patent fence, which is where the process for how we make a graphene, which is a trade secret, is included in the patent to the degree that it actually protects the process as well as the product. And that's what with strategy we talked about 8 years ago. And I think it's going to prove quite successful in protecting our IP as we grow.
So then let's talk about the take to market, because a couple days after that news release on September 17th, you announced what was called the first to market multi-language global graphene enhanced product range for distributors. This, from my understanding, is all about being able to palletize G-Lubricant and the Thermal XR to get these products out to, I guess, the mass market in 16 different languages. Talk to us about getting these products out to people then. How is this going? What other news needs to follow this for you to start generating some, I guess, retail sales?
Yeah, so we've been talking to you and to the market about updates on people testing our bulk fluids. So this is the large manufacturers who would be using our bulk fluids in their large factories. And those conversations are still going on, and they will test until they're fully confident the risk of implementing and obviously advantages are there to make that happen in their plant, and then there'll be very large volume opportunities. What we're talking about here is putting those bulk fluids into small packs and putting them into cartons and then palletizing them and putting them on pallets to be able to ship them around to distributors who then resell to companies or individual consumers. You can't get a distributor to use bulk fluids. We've found that out very clearly. It's very difficult to sell onwards, whereas a small pack they can sell to a business to go and use either G-Lubricant or Thermal XR is quite attractive for them. These distributors are really focusing on making money, not necessarily understanding the product to the maximum outcome. So we're building a whole network of, as we grow our distributor network, and we'll come out shortly on this. As we're building that, we're building a whole network of salespeople with these small pack palletized options. But when you do that, you've got to make it all ready and available so that you can sell it throughout the world. So that's why we've done it all in 16 languages. It's available then to be used immediately in pretty much every major market that we're focusing on around the world. Also, it's a fully versatile stock. So the stock we make, which is in the progress of being finalized in the next month, it should be all out in the warehouse, and we'll be able to say that's available, is then any one particular product that we have in a pallet can go to any country in the world. So we don't have to keep multiple stock items. It really rationalized down how much warehouse space we needed and how much product we need to make, because who's to say where the product that we make this month is going to be going? Is it going to Europe in multiple languages, or is it going to China, or is it going to America, or is it going to Latin America, for instance? And so instead of trying to pick a language and then pick those types of labels, we've done it in multi-language. And this is a pretty general thing that companies have, but oil packs these days, lubricating oil packs and paints are generally made in a few different languages. What's different is we're opening up to the global distribution network that we're trying to obviously put together. And so hence we'll put 16 languages all on one pack. Typically, it's only maybe 2 or 3 or maybe 4 or 5, but we've really pushed it to 16 to really give us options to get as many irons in the fire around the world and make sure that this can be sold in any country that people want to really push it, which is, obviously the next step to have significant revenue.
So, Craig, you said there that in the next month or so, you'll have these products ready to be put on the pallets and ship out. Do you have orders for these things? What is the market looking like now that you have this approval and you can now palletize G-Lubricant and Thermal XR?
Yeah, so we definitely have interest. And in this, to the extent also, clearly people saying, yeah, I'm progressing the order, I've got an order coming in. We need to have the stock there for people to see that we've got it. That's absolutely needed in this space. And that's what we're progressing through. So once we see that, we announce that the stock is available, we see the time to market for ordering through, some pretty bulk standard distributors that a lot of companies a lot of people would know in the world. They can then start moving them through. So you're talking about potentially automotive distributors, oil company resellers, so oil distributors, paint distributors, air conditioning distributors, and there are literally thousands of companies, if not tens of thousands of companies in the world that these people can literally start buying from us in pallet form and then resell in their country. So whilst I think you can have we've got existing companies that are very interested in focusing on getting these out to market once we have it in warehouse, the chance for someone to come in and just place an order very quickly is all there. They have good margins, and all the information is there. It's a protected product, especially Thermalex are in terms of patents, and so it provides a really good opportunity for distributors to make more money off an existing customer, for instance. And that's the space. Whilst we're talking to some very large companies around, the testing in the background, this is how we think we're going to grow our, some significant revenue in addition to that.
So since you mentioned all the different uses for this, I get every week at least a couple emails asking, has Craig tried G-Lubricant or TXR for this usage? Naval industry, data centers, trucking industry. Honestly, it's a couple emails a week. Craig, are you focusing on any certain industry? Give us an understanding here, because look, everyone seems to think that this is useful across the board, but you can't go after every industry all at once. So where do you focus for some significant sales?
Yeah, and one of our sayings is, our focus is our strength. And so we focused on air conditioning coatings as an application. The ability, though, to put that into radiators, even for vehicles or for battery cooling opportunities are there. Large heat exchangers for the oil and gas, and even liquefied natural gas applications are there. Chillers for large mining processes are there. Data centers definitely are there. Electronics is a massive market. I think we've come out on that already. And then you've got appliances to make appliances more efficient. The opportunity is vast, and I can say we're basically in, there's some company somewhere is testing pretty much all of those with our product somewhere. What we focus on is the beachhead that we've been focusing on for some time. These are very analytical industries. Air conditioning and refrigeration, or HVAC industry, is a very analytical industry. It moves heat magically from one space to another at the lowest cost and the longest kind of lifespan of the asset is possible for customers to do it without even knowing it's happening in their room or wherever they are. So it needs to operate with an enormous amount of science, and hence the people behind these industries are very deeply analytical. They want to know everything before they do anything at scale, of course, and as they should. So that work, is ongoing, and the data points are only getting more obvious that coating is something that pretty much every heat exchanger in the world should have to really optimize its performance and stop corrosion as well. So, that's what we keep focusing on. We do, at least every day, we get a couple of new requests of how we can potentially use this graphene coating or the graphene lubricant or make other things. We are really focused on keeping our focus, because that's our strength, and getting that up and running. And then, we've got different pack sizes, we've got different countries, we've got different labels, and that's enough variation right now. There will be companies who will go and use it on many other things, and that's okay. But we try to keep focused on what we're here to do, which is deliver that revenue or significant revenue in the markets that we've chosen, which are very large opportunities for us. And we've made years and years of headway. We need to complete that before we get anyway distracted in other options.
Now, are you at that point it sounds like, as you said, complete that, move through the finish line and start to generate some sales? Or is there more testing that needs to be done, more inbounds? And I guess, a longer time frame that people need to look at?
Yeah, I'm genuinely feeling, that I haven't felt before as much as I've ever had before, where we can really see some, opportunity to kind of see how, in the near term, these revenues are going to come in with significant revenues. Where what I've learned is with disruptive products like this, that you need to have as many irons in the fire as possible so that you become order takers. That you don't want to be trying to go out and win projects. That's just not how I run a business. A business should be run where people are coming to you and you're taking orders and you're selling them through your delivery process. We've built a business that we think is going to do that. That's what we've done in the last 6 months. Complete new business on top of our existing bulk business, and that's what we're excited to kind of work through. So yeah, I think I've never felt better about the company in terms of its ability to turn some pretty good revenues in the very near term. EPA approval will be massive for us. Hopefully when that comes through, later this year, that will obviously change our whole situation. But I think what we're seeing is that, we've got a lot of other opportunities that could, foreshadow that as small eventually as well. So very, very, very exciting. I couldn't tell you which exactly large opportunity of revenue would come through first because there's so many. I can't put a finger on it, which is really exciting.
So, Craig, this ties into a question that someone sent in that they're looking through your MD&A, and they were mentioning how actually revenue from operations was slightly lower in fiscal 2025 from fiscal 2024. We're not talking big numbers here, but there is a comment that some of the sales volume reduced because of reduced customer demand. What does this mean? Is there less customer demand out there? Because I keep hearing from you that you're getting unlimited inbounds, and it sounds like major sales are right around the corner.
Yeah, it's a great question. And look, it's unfortunate the sales did dip down from the previous year, financial year. It was not significant, but it went down. I think, the sales are lumpy at small volumes, and that's what it is. And those are not significant sales. They're generally project sales or sales for large companies that we're doing testing for, and they take time to work through the system. Where, we're not banking the company on those. We're changing our revenue opportunities by putting these palletized products, as I said, and then bringing together some of these larger opportunities in bulk sales. So yeah, it's one of those things where you go, well, I did wish that some of those things fell into different months and they wouldn't have had that small reduction. I think, this next year we'll see a completely different story. In my view, that we're really setting ourselves up for success with what we've done in the last 6 months. So those small lumpy things that you might have seen in revenue reduction over the last year won't be anything at all in the end because the revenues will be completely different from different sources. And hopefully what I'm thinking is quite a repeatable demand from distributors where the lumpiness will be far less obvious.
So one more question then, Craig, was on the capital raise back in the beginning of September. You raised almost $7 million, I believe. What's that money going to be used for? Well, give us a lay of the land there.
Yeah, look, we weren't seeking it. We got sought for it, which is always nice to get a board deal offered to you. It shows that you are progressing as a company and people want to invest in you, institutions, which is great. That focus, that money is really around completing a bit more of a production build out for Gen 2 and then also building out our sales force and building up stock. So it's a genuine expansion capital requirement that it'll be used for. It really puts us in a very solid standing for cash flow, probably over 2 years running of cash burn without sales, which of course sales is, we're going to be changing. So, as a result, it gives us a very solid footing to expand from.
All right, Craig, thanks for answering all these questions. Everyone, please keep sending in your questions. This update, I think, is pretty much long enough now, but I'll give you the floor one last time just for a quick kind of highlight of what we should be watching for news flow wise as we move to the end of the year.
Yeah, so we should have an EPA approval. We're focused on getting that done with America, which will unlock immediate orders into America for our new Calgon partner. We're looking at telling and I guess informing our stakeholders and investors of our distributors coming online with palletized orders and also having our palletized stock coming into a warehouse. On top of, we're really trying to push a Super G announcement, which, we're doing a lot of work on that, and also a battery announcement. That's on the radar, and we're really trying to close that out so we can be really clean and clear with everyone on where the progress is. Good progress is made, but we need to be absolutely 100% round on all the issues in order to present it so that it's understood. So there are many opportunities that, I guess we can see for catalysts for the stock, and, we're very happy with where it's all going.
All right, Craig, thank you very much for this update. Again, Craig Nickel, founder and CEO of Graphene Manufacturing Group. Everyone keep sending me your questions, fleck@kereport.com, and I'll follow up with Craig probably at the beginning of next month. Craig, thanks again for your time today.
Thanks, Corey. Cheers, mate.